The great king Shantanu was a ruler of the Kuru kingdom with his capital at Hastinapura. He once saw a beautiful woman near the banks of Ganges, was mesmerized by her beauty, and asked her to marry him and earnestly offered for her love his kingdom, his wealth, his very life. Ganga agreed, but with a condition that neither he or anyone else should ever ask her about her whereabouts. No one shall stand in the way of whatever she does, good or bad. He must not say anything displeasing to her. If he act otherwise, she shall leave him then and there. The infatuated king promised, and they both get married. King Shantanu and Ganga lived a life of perfect happiness. Ganga gave birth to many children. Every time a child was born, she took the newborn to the Ganges and cast into the river, and then returned to the king with a smiling face. Thus, she killed 7 children. Shantanu was filled with horror and anguish, but suffered it all in silence, mindful of the promise he had made. When the 8th child was born, and she was about to throw it into the Ganges, Shantanu could not bear it any longer, and asked her about this horrifying act of unnatural murder of her own innocent children. She then reveals herself as the goddess Ganga, and that she is doing this hateful role by the curse of sage Vasishtha. She further explains that once the 8 Vasus went for a holiday with their wives to a mountain tract where stood the hermitage of sage Vasishtha. One of them saw sage Vasishtha's cow, Nandini, grazing there. Its divinely beautiful form attracted him, and he pointed it out to the ladies. One of them requested her husband to secure it for her. The husband tells the wife that the cow belongs to the sage Vasishtha, and one will certainly become immortal by drinking its milk, but it is of no use to them, as they are already immortal. The wife persuades him that it is for one of her friend in the mortal world, and finally her husband yielded. All the Vasus joined together and took the cow and its calf away with them. When the sage Vasishtha returned to his ashrama, found the cow and calf missing. Very soon he came to know all that had taken place by his yogic insight. Angered sage cursed the Vasus that they should be born into the world of men. When the Vasus came to know of the curse, they begged for sage's mercy and asked for forgiveness. Vasishtha informs that the curse cannot be taken back, but he softened the curse that all the Vasus will be freed from the curse as soon as born. But the Vasu Prabhasa who seized the cow will live for a long time and will not have a wife or have children. But the sage Vasishtha also gave a boon to him that he would be virtuous, conversant with all the holy scriptures, and will be an obedient son to his father. The Vasus felt relieved and approached the goddess Ganga and begged her to be their mother. They prayed for her to descend to the earth and marry a worthy man, throw them into the water as soon as they were born, and liberate them from the curse. The goddess granted their prayer, came to the earth, and became the wife of Shantanu. Why does Ganga choose Shantanu as her husband? Once there was a powerful king of the Ikshvaku dynasty by the name Mahabharat. He possessed many virtuous qualities, and after performing 1,000 Ashvamedha yagnas and 100 Rajasuya yagnas, he had attained heaven after his death. Once he got an opportunity to visit the court of Brahma, where all the Devas and the Ganga were also present. While everyone was worshipping Brahma, a wind blew and displaced Ganga's clothes, revealing her body. Everybody present there bent their heads except Mahabharat, who kept gazing at her. Upon seeing this act, Brahma lost his temper and cursed him to be born a mortal. Ganga, who also relished the mortal act, was cursed to be born as human and come back only after breaking Mahabharat's heart. Mahabharat then requested Brahma that he, Mahabharat, be born as the son of Kuru king Pratipa, and his wish was granted by Brahma. Hence Ganga married Shantanu, and the curse of Brahma and sage Vasishtha were fulfilled. Ganga tells Shantanu she shall bring up this last child of his for some time, and then return it to him as her gift. After saying these words, Ganga disappears with the child. It was this child who later became famous as Bhishma. After the goddess Ganga left Shantanu, he was left heartbroken. He gave up all sensual pleasures and ruled the kingdom. One day he was wandering along the banks of the Ganges when he saw a boy endowed with the beauty and form of Devendra, the king of the gods. The child was amusing himself by casting a dam of arrows across the Ganges in flood, playing with the mighty river as a child. The king stood transfixed with amazement at the sight, and then goddess Ganga revealed herself and presented the child as his own son, whose name is Devavrata. She tells him that he has mastered the art of warfare by Lord Parshurama himself and equals Parasurama in power. He has learnt the Vedas and the Vedanta from sage Vasishtha and has learnt the arts and sciences from Sukra. He is a great archer as well as a master in statecraft. Then she blessed the boy, handed him to Shantanu, and disappeared.